Welcome to Purpose Living Podcast. My name is Panji and
Jen.
We are here with a new episode for you, just like we do every week, adding hopefully some transformational and value to your life and things to get you thinking about how to better yourself. Challenging, I guess, a good word to put it is challenging ourselves to continue to grow and become better in everything that we do. So today we're hitting physical health and truly looking at the areas in our lives that we can do better. Some of us like to eat too much, and some of us that can mess up with our way of thinking. So that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, so I mean, it's such a big topic because it does not only affect our physical health, but then it leads into our emotional health and how we react in our relationships and so many other things. And so it is important to address it. And for me, it was a battle of mine for a long time. So I grew up as a heavy kid and always battled like food obsession and figuring it all out, and didn't have a healthy relationship with food or exercise. So it did become a passion where I didn't want that to like have that hold anymore, and to really become healthy from the inside out and being intentional with how we take care of our body. And so we want to kind of go through that today and kind of look within to say, okay, what can I do to start really feeling my best physically?
Yeah, and then that's a good point to start with. Is just when you think about physical health, I think a lot of us think of just like the physical, the workout part of it, and we forget that there's more to it than just the physical side of it, right? It's the mindset, and also just kind of what are the things that I do outside of just the physical that will help me become more proactive and more active in my life, in my day-to-day life. So we're going to start with just kind of talking about hitting your current reality. What does that look like? What are the pinpoints that you got to establish and know exactly where do I start and how do I keep going? How do I keep that momentum moving forward? So I'll let you hit on that one first.
Yeah, so I mean, this is the hard part because we have to be honest with ourselves. And I'm going to actually share some things. And I encourage you to grab a notebook or, a piece of paper and jot down the pieces that resonate with you. So that way you can really see, okay, this is an area that I do want to start to change. And I probably personally battled them all at one time or not in my life. And so the first one, do you ever lack confidence in your skin? So do you ever maybe want to hide in pictures or avoid going places just because of how you look and how you feel about yourself? Lacking energy, so not having the energy to do the activities that you enjoy, saying maybe no to your kids because you don't feel like getting up and playing with them, or saying no to going certain places because you're not sure if you're going to be able to hike or walk or do the activity that it takes to keep going. So just lacking that daily energy just to do your work and those types of things. Not having any motivation to work out or add movement into your life, just not even desiring to add it at all, and just, avoiding it, having excuses to why you can't. Not knowing what to do to add movement or exercise into your life, not knowing what kind, when, how, just the logistics behind it. Feeling overwhelmed by just all of the diets and what's good for you or not good for you because it changes every day, and hearing all the noise about what you should eat or shouldn't eat, and it just feels kind of overwhelming and stressful because you're not even sure where to begin. That's a real thing. Constantly thinking about food, so you're obsessing over food. When are you going to eat next? What are you going to eat next? It's just constantly on your mind, that obsession over food. Cravings, sugar, carbs, burgers and fries, sweets, just all the different kinds of cravings where once you start, you want to keep going. So rather than having one cookie, you want to eat 10, really just being constantly obsessing about the food and then having those cravings for those foods. Not having a good sleep routine or quality of sleep. We don't realize sometimes how much that this affects us, because when we're overtired, then we tend to want to eat the carbohydrates or the other cravings, and then we tend to, be like stressed out. So then we want to eat to feel better for a minute. So that lack of sleep or quality of sleep really, really plays a toll into everything else. And then not hydrating, so not drinking all of the water that your body needs. Sometimes we don't realize water actually thirst triggers as hunger, and so then rather than hydrating ourselves, we're actually dehydrated, so then we overeat, and then that can be a cycle too. So really looking at, these are a small amount of pain points or struggles that we might be dealing with, but the first step in overcoming and to really develop that healthy relationship with food and exercise, where we're taking action towards it, we got to see where we're at and maybe the battles that are in our life right now, and then we'll say, okay, I really want to tackle this, so now how can I move forward?
Yeah, and then those are great categories that we got to think about too, and that was what I was trying to get to when it comes to physical health, right? And you have your nutrition component of it, and then you have your movement component of it, and you have your hydration component of it, and then you have your sleep component of it, and then you have your other routines and things that you do. Those are all things that play a role in your whole entire physical health. And I think a lot of times we just kind of pinpoint, we kind of focus so much so on the movement, we forget to do the rest of them. So what does my nutrition look like, right? Because depending on what you eat, it actually does kind of test your mood, right? If I have too much sugar, probably in 2 hours or 3 hours, there's going to be something that's going to happen. It's called the sugar crash, right? And you just feel sluggish and not going to feel good, right? Movement. And for a lot of people, you feel like, and this is something that we can probably talk about forever, but people think that you got to go out and do something for like an hour and a half. All it takes is just trying to get your heart rate up for a good 20, 25 minutes, 30 minutes, right? Just something to get your heart rate and your blood flowing and being active. And then the second part is the hydration part, which I talk to my athletes about every single day, because that's a part that, especially in the wintertime, right? It's cold, it's gloomy, we stay inside, or the days that it's not hot, we're like, I don't need to drink too much water. Well, actually, you are going to be dehydrated just because it's cold outside or it's not hot outside doesn't mean that you're not losing water. You're losing water, so you got to make sure that you're doing those things. And for me, to be honest with you, this is probably the most important one, sleep. Because if your sleep is out of whack, everything else falls out of whack, and you're not gonna have clarity, right? You're not well rested, so your body does not know how to basically adjust to the things that you're doing. The more stress that you add to it, it just kind of makes your body just feel like, okay, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? I need to get some rest. So, and I love the routines. The routines is, am I a routine person?
In certain things, you are.
In certain things, I like to have a routine. Yeah, there's certain things that I like to have a routine, but then I just kind of like, okay, if certain things come up, I'm able to drop things and just go. But when it comes to your health, though, I think having a good routine will help you stay in structure. And I think a lot of us would like to be in structure when it comes to those things, so that you don't feel like, just like she was talking about, don't let those things rule you, but you having control of those things, so that you're not feeling stressed out and overwhelmed, like, okay, I'm not doing this right, No. Look at your true life, look at your current reality, and ask yourself, okay, what is going to continue to help me keep my momentum moving forward? And what is truly, what is something that I'm trying to set myself up with my routines. I'm trying to set myself up to be successful, right? And be true to yourself of what is doable versus what is kind of like a dream that you're trying to get there. And if you put things in place to help you continue to have that momentum moving forward, the better it is. So.
Yep. And so let's kind of look at that like practically for you. So those are what he just addressed, those main areas that we have to take a look at in order to start to see improvement in our health. But so if some of those pain points resonated with you, okay, like I'm hiding in my pictures, I'm avoiding doing activities, I'm avoiding living my best quality of life because of my physical health, then on a scale from 1 to 10, how willing are you to start to take some action? So that's a first step of question of like, okay, like, you know what? I don't want to stop, like, I don't want to say no to my kids every time they ask me to do something because I have no energy. I don't want to avoid going to a party because I don't feel confident in my skin. Like, that's a pain point that I no longer want to continue to control my life, okay? So I'm ready to start to take some action, okay? So I'm ready to start to make some progress in order to be able to really live healthy and not have to feel like I'm a prisoner in my body, you know, that I can actually take those action steps. And so looking at that, like, what do you want to accomplish? If you knew you couldn't fail, what would your healthiest self look like? So for me, as a heavy kid growing up and I seen all my skinny friends, I'm like, I just wanted to not feel like the fat kid. Like I didn't want to not want to go swimming because I felt like a little bit insecure in all of those things. Like I didn't want to hold myself back like that. And so, you know, I went on a mission of like, I want to figure this out. Yeah. And I kind of did it the wrong way where I obsessed over it and, you know, kind of went through this whole cycle. However, I knew I didn't want to stay stuck. And that's the first step, is acknowledging, okay, I don't want to stay stuck. And then we can start to look at what can my plan of action be. And so this is where you may need, you know, somebody to come alongside you. If you're like, I don't know what my best nutrition plan should look like. I don't know what I should start to do with movement. That's where we do one-on-one coaching, and we do those types of things too, but hiring a personal trainer or something like that too, to kind of get you started. Sometimes you need that assistance because, you know, most of us aren't born just knowing what's going to be best for us to eat and to hydrate and to do all those things. And so taking some time to say, okay, like, what are my calorie needs? And really looking at, you know, what your activity is, your height, your weight. There's lots of, like, if you go on Google and just search calorie, figure out my calorie needs, there will be a calculator that will pop up for you, and you can kind of address some of that just as a starting point to figure out where you're at. And then if you wanted a more detailed approach, looking for, you know, that nutritionist, or, you know, we'd be happy to come alongside you too. But you really want to look in and say, okay, like, am I looking at food as just a comfort, or am I looking at food as fuel? And so that would be a really important question to start in your nutrition. Like, is food a stress mechanism that I'm using? Am I using it because I'm tired, because I'm like grumpy, because I'm whatever? Like, why am I eating? And what is it doing in my body? And what foods am I actually consuming? So sometimes starting with a food journal and just writing down everything you're eating. And I've even had clients write down like what they're eating, the time of day, the emotion that they were feeling while they were eating, and then their hunger scale. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how hungry are you? And so when you start to actually look at some of those things, it can help us bring awareness to, you know, what we're eating, why we're eating it, and really developing that relationship with food.
Yeah, and I like the way you put it, because I was thinking the way you put everything, which is all right, but having a good schedule. Some people like to have a good schedule, but also making sure that it does not become something that you're like making it obsessive, right? Because it can become a challenge, and it can take you to a place that you don't want to be in. But just like she put it in a really good way, is having a good relationship, making it a good relationship with. And this goes to anything that you're trying to do, right? Whether it is your relationship with your husband, whatever areas of your life that you're trying to get to, but making it a good relationship, that this is not that I'm trying to do And before I say whatever I was gonna say, and it's like don't allow what other people do influence you. Like we're all built differently, right? And you can't try to look like somebody that's not you. It's not you. It's not you. But it is important, and I love the way that you put it too. Like find somebody, which is what we do. Find somebody who is well educated in that area that can help you figure out. Okay, you know what? Like your body mass index, for example, figuring those things out and knowing exactly. Like for me personally, I would make this an example for myself, right? For me, I try to train myself more so to be in the area that I am healthy, but most importantly, I feel rejuvenated and I have energy to do the things that I want to do, right? Compared to when I was in college, it was like, you gotta look like this, muscle popping, everything, six pack abs, and all those things. But I work those things. But for some people, your body is not gonna be defined like everybody else, no matter what you do. So understanding that and having people on your side that will continue to affirm you and let you know, like, dude, you're in a good, healthy place, or lady, you're in a good, healthy place, right? And just know that that's all you need. Are you in a healthy place? And this is something that I need to get better in doing, is doing my regular test, and that's part of your physical health as well. Every single I forgot how many times you gotta do it, once a month or something like that. Doing those things so that you know exactly where your numbers stand. If I need to improve in this area, I can go and find somebody that can help me in those areas to help me with those numbers to make my numbers better. But the biggest thing is not becoming obsessive about it, but make it a good relationship with what you're trying to achieve. If that makes sense.
Absolutely, because I was absolutely obsessed for probably 10 years of my life. I think because I grew up heavy, like it became like I have to focus on every number, weigh myself, multiple times a day, count every little thing, work out like 3 hours a day. Like it was terribly obsession, and that was not healthy. So knowing the difference is very, very important as we address our physical health, to just like being healthy. Like I have a healthy relationship with food. It does not control me. I don't obsess over it. I eat for fuel. I work out to gain energy, not to look a certain way. I don't want to hide or avoid swimming pools or activities because of my energy or physical health. Like just being able to be free. And I tell you, like, I share that because that is something that truly happened to me. Like the obsession and all of that stuff was a battle for so long, and to live at freedom from that is a huge, huge relief, and like a million pounds just lifted off of you. And I give all the credit and glory to God for that, because it was a battle, and I know that if he did it in me, he can also do it in anybody else too. So that if that is something that you do battle, like I encourage you to really, really like talk, and be open with it, so that way you can start to uncover that solution. But our goal really is just to like give you the tools to be able to say, okay, you know what? I want to start to make some commitments of maybe I'm going to start tracking what I eat, just so I know and I have that reality. And if you are a person that leads to obsession, maybe that's not what you do. So there is such an individual approach to this too, because for some, we need to get real, and we do need to step on the scale once a week so that we have a tool and we have some like measuring sticks to know where we're at. And for some people, if that scale is going to define you and it's going to get into your head and cause all kinds of other stuff, it's better to avoid it completely. And so you got to know yourself. And when we coach people, we really like to make it personal to what's going to be the best for that individual, because It's not a one size fits all. Same with nutrition. That's why there's so many things out there. It's not a one size fits all. But something practical is, am I getting all my food groups in? So, are we eating our vegetables, our fruits, our lean proteins, our whole grains, our healthy fats? Like, are we getting that in? Are we getting our water in? Are we adding movement, 20 to 30 minutes each day? And movement does not have to be like super intentional exercise. It can be scrubbing and cleaning your house, it can be sweeping your floors. It can be walking around, the store, whatever that might be, parking further away. Like, just getting that intentional movement in is going to be key to our long-term health. And so really looking at those things and saying, okay, where should I focus at? Maybe I need to start with nutrition, and I'm not going to do the rest of it yet because I just can, do one thing at a time. Or maybe you have your nutrition kind of down and you're like, okay, it's time for me to start incorporating movement. I don't want to exercise. I don't like exercise. I want to avoid it. But maybe I'm likely to just start doing that. Then let's look at, okay, what would be fun for you to do? Because it doesn't have to be running or, heavy powerlifting. It can be, your find a dance class and you dance around, or it can look so swimming. There's so many different things that you can do. But with movement, I just always encourage you to find something that you're actually going to enjoy and look forward to, or find a workout buddy. That's huge for people. If you are meeting somebody for accountability, you're so much more likely to show up because it's easy to talk yourself out of it. But if you're like, okay, they're meeting me to go for a walk, then you're actually going to do it versus just be like, I'll figure it out and do it later.
Yeah, absolutely. And part of it is just like, for me, some days that I don't feel like going out and running, or because I enjoy doing that. But these days it's just like, maybe I just need to go for a walk. My body needs to recover a little bit. So, I'm going to go walk, or I'm going to do a different workout. And finding, what's the word I'm looking for? Different things to do, right? That you enjoy doing, so that your body is not doing the same thing every single time, so that you keep your body guessing. Goes a long way too. So having a lot of options is what I'm looking for. Creating a lot of options so that you don't get too bored doing just one thing all the time. But hey, rock climbing. If you can do rock climbing, go grab yourself a place that they have rock climbing and go rock climbing. Do something fun and something that you enjoy. It's something that, by the time you're done doing, you feel recharged and rejuvenated to get going again the next day. So,
yeah. And I just want to share too, maybe it's your very, very beginner and you've never really worked out, you're a little bit scared to do this whole thing. There are even if you want to go on YouTube, seated workouts where you're in a chair and you're starting to do small things seated on the ground. Or I used to teach a class for people where it was very, very low impact, it was very, very beginner. So find wherever is right for you and the level that is right for you, because then you'll be able to build upon it that way too.
Yeah, and we talked about how we focus too much on the movement part, and we're talking a lot about movement. So yeah, nutrition part of it, and she kind of hit more. She talked about that even more than I wouldn't know how to talk about that. But for me personally, it's like, okay. However, it's trying to hit every single area of the food group that we have to balance your nutrition.
Yeah, so a lot of times with nutrition too, if you do, you want to balance your carbohydrate, protein, and fat, so that way you're kind of steady and your glycemic index stays steady all day long, which essentially means that you're having your energy levels steady and you're not getting where you don't eat for a really long time and then you're so hungry that you're willing just to eat anything. So it's really being in tune to what your body needs and making sure that you are eating small, frequent meals throughout the day, but really listening to your body and knowing your cues, and then recognizing, because when you first start to really watch what you're eating and you start to feel better, if you then go back to old habits where maybe you do eat, 5 cookies in one sitting, you're going to feel like sluggish and bloated and blah and tired. Your body will start to recognize that. If that's your normal right now, you don't know what it actually feels like to feel good, and that's common. So just recognizing, okay, I do want to learn what it feels like to feel good. I do want to actually learn how to nourish my body and be able to fuel it so that I do have the energy and that quality of life.
So with that, I got a question.
Yeah.
Let's say, because I like the way you put it, like I feel my body based on, like, let's say if I'm going to do a late workout, I'll probably eat a little bit more carbs later on in the day so that I can fuel the energy that I need to do. Can somebody say, okay, so let's say I get up in the morning, can I do, so for each meal, yeah, you're supposed to eat snacks in between too, but for your bigger meals, can you do, let's say if you get up in the morning, eat protein, more eggs in the morning, and then like for your lunch you eat more greens, and then if you're gonna work out later, can you have, you're still gonna have the proteins and the greens, but could that portion be a little bit more carbs? Does that make sense? Or do you want to spread them all even out?
I mean, it really is going to depend on the style of your workouts, what you're doing it for. If you're like a trained athlete, that's going to look very different than if you're doing a 30-minute moderate activity. So I don't know that I would really even worry about it so much unless you are specifically training as an athlete for a specific role, or if you're training for, like, let's say a marathon or something that's going to be where you have a strong exercise, like this is your routine, then you want to look at the nutrition side for all that. But for just general health and well-being, I honestly would just keep it consistent, small, frequent, like balanced meals throughout the day, or keeping that like after, so let's say you work out in the morning, make sure you have that small balanced meal after your workout to kind of refuel yourself, because what happens is, and I see this a lot, is I'm trying to lose weight, so I'm just going to starve myself all day, and then I'm just going to eat a big dinner, and I'm going to try to work it all off, and then you're just messing up your metabolism oftentimes. So if we can just stay consistent and think of, I'm eating for fuel, and not, unless you are specific athlete training for a specific thing, not go into the strong details of that, actually will help just having that overall long-term healthy relationship with food.
Well, folks, for most of us, just eat a balanced food.
Yes.
Balanced nutrition. Sleep is pretty easy. Your body needs more than just 6 hours of sleep. That's like a minimum.
7 to 9 hours is ideal. Yeah.
You need more than 6. Get more than 6. You're good. Hydration. Oh, hit that quick before we run out of our time here. It's what, your body weight in ounces?
Yes, so for hydration, half of your body weight in ounces of water is ideal for you each and every day. Sometimes if you drink it out of a straw, that helps some people, like really knowing how much you're drinking. So some people get those water bottles with the ounces on there and knowing how many you need to drink. But it is going to make a huge difference when you're hydrating yourself. Another quick tip is make sure you start early in the day and not try to drink it all at night, so that you will get quality sleep, because you're not getting up to go to the bathroom and those kind of things too. And I will share quickly for sleep, making sure that you kind of set the tone for your sleep so that your room is dark, you're not having your phone dinging and avoiding any blue light. Those kind of things really do help with that quality of sleep. And if you do struggle with that, there are tips and tools that you can use to be able to set your routines up really well so that you do get that quality of sleep at night.
So that is that. We're probably gonna have to revisit some of these, because I think especially sleep, hydration, those are the huge ones. A lot of us kind of tip our toes, pass by. And then some with hydration is also thinking about the potassium that you put in your body. Drinking water is great, but also kind of what's the other one?
Electrolytes.
Electrolytes, to replenish all the electrolytes that you're losing is also super important in those areas. So, like, I picked up somebody that was talking. He's like, I drink water, but I'm like, well, you might need some electrolytes in your body too, to help you replenish those electrolytes that you're losing. So,
Yeah, so right now, like, look at, okay, how am I actually feeling and doing in my physical health? What would I like to accomplish? Like, what would my ideal be in my physical health? And then what steps am I willing to start taking? So am I ready to start, dialing in on my nutrition, on my hydration, my sleep, my movement? Where do I want to start focusing? And just saying, what's one thing I can start this week? So I am committed to drinking half of my body weight in ounces of water. I'm committed to writing down my food. I'm committed to stepping on that scale that I've been avoiding or putting it away. So knowing where you're personally at, find out what you're committed to start doing and saying, how can I live truly healthy from the inside out, taking care of the body I have been given so that I have the energy to fulfill my purpose. And so that's what we're all about is, taking care of the inside so that we can live out what God's calling us to.
all right, folks, we're Purpose Living Coaching.
And we're
We're
training to do life God's way.
Catch you guys next week.
Bye.